Are you gluten-free and ever had an experience at a restaurant or at a friend's house where you thought that you were very diligent and careful about what you were eating and for sure there was no gluten in that, right? But suddenly it hit you. You know what I'm talking about. Your stomach starts to cramp and you have that sudden feeling that you have got to run to the bathroom, and I mean like right now. Who's been there? I know I have. If you've ever experienced this, you're not alone. Come join me while we talk about what I do if I get glutened and the things I use to try to prevent it. Before I get started real quick, please remember I am not a medical professional and I am by no means giving medical advice. I'm simply sharing with you what has worked for me. So, what do I do when I get glutened? Well, I found a friend that has helped me so much. If you have never heard of Glutened before, you need to get some of this stuff. I actually discovered this a few years ago. It has been such a lifesaver to me. Now, I'm talking like accidental gluten. I'm not talking you go out and say, okay, I'm going to eat, 12 donuts and do that on a daily basis and this be that. That's not what this is for. But you can take it before you eat if you know that you're going to be at a restaurant or maybe somebody's house or even your own house that there's also gluten being served or prepared, and you think that there's a chance of cross-contamination. You can take one of these beforehand and it can help from anything reacting. Could help. Or if you ate something and you start feeling that, we all know those symptoms, right? And everybody's symptoms are going to be a little bit different. But for me, it's definitely digestive. My stomach will start to hurt. I will get those severe cramps where it just feels like somebody's twisting my stomach like that. Do any of you feel like that? Tell us what your gluten symptoms are in the comments. And I know, I know it's not the best topic in the world, but these are things we need to talk about because people don't always realize what gluten symptoms are, and they can vary for other people. I will do more videos on some of this in the future, so stay tuned. For me, one of the biggest things is that crampy, achy, my stomach's gonna tear itself to pieces feeling, and then you have to run to the bathroom, right? So that's what I'm talking with this. You just ate something and now you're feeling those symptoms. You would take one of these. So this is Glutened. So another thing that I take and I like to use, now this is more of a daily take with every meal thing, and not necessarily take it because you're going to eat gluten. It's a take with whatever you're eating because it's an enzyme. Both of these are enzymes, and this one is a take every meal to help break things down. So let's talk about enzymes real quick. So the Terrazyme contains enzymes, but also things to help settle the stomach, like peppermint leaf, ginger root, and caraway extracts. It supports the healthy digestion and metabolism of enzyme-deficient processed foods. It supports the conversion of food nutrients into cellular energy and promotes safe, effective gastrointestinal comfort and food intolerance. It provides a blend of active whole food enzymes. So these are similar. Some of the ingredients are the same in both of these. I'm going to break them down for you, okay? And let me know if there's something else you've tried to help with being glutened. I have a few different things too that I do, but one of the things that I have found that have helped the most are these, and I think the enzymes are very important. So I'm going to talk about these quite a bit and break it down for you. So both of these have protease in them. Protease breaks down the protein and peptides and amino acids. And they both have amylase in them, which breaks down carbohydrates, starches, and sugars. And they both have glucoamylase in them, which breaks down starches. So those are the similarities, okay? So as you can see now, they both have some powerhouse enzymes that break down the food. Enzymes are very important for our body, And especially if we're eating heavy, starchy, fatty things, we need those enzymes to break that down and help our body digest them. Let's talk some differences real quick. So the glutenese, it has DDP5, which is an enzyme that may be able to degrade dietary gluten that is accidentally consumed. It's a form of protease that breaks down many components found in the gluten protein. It's intended for those sensitive to gluten who are already following a gluten-free diet, but may need help breaking down the gluten proteins that are unintentionally ingested. It's not meant to replace a gluten-free diet or to treat or prevent celiac disease. Just remember, if you're celiac, that's an autoimmune disorder, and you cannot eat gluten at all. It's not good for you at all. It can cause some major issues. So, and this can still help with that, but it's one of those things where you really want to try not to have it. Okay, so that's the glutenese, right? It's accidental ingestion. So then the Terrazyme, which is our everyday take with a meal enzyme, okay? So that's got those same three in there, but also has alpha galactosidase. It breaks down the complex polysaccharide sugars found in legumes and certain vegetables, which can cause bloating and gas. So an example of that is broccoli. Broccoli can cause gas in quite a bit of people. So vegetables are good for us, right? We want to eat our veggies. They are good for us in a lot of ways. But there are things in veggies that aren't always good for everybody. So for example, if you have a lot of inflammation, you want to stay away from the nightshade family. So eggplant, tomatoes, green peppers, that kind of thing. That'll be a video for another day. So make sure that you're subscribed so that you get some of these future videos. But anyway, vegetables are not always good for everybody's body depending on what is going on inside of it. So broccoli, sometimes cabbage, and sometimes even lettuce can affect some people. That is what this is for. It helps break that down so that your body can handle those foods better. The other thing in Terrazyme is papain, which breaks down protein, and lipase, which breaks down fats and oils that are absorbed into the intestines. It's got lactase in it, which breaks down the lactose found in milk sugars, and it's got cellulase in it, which breaks down fiber to help digest fruits and vegetables. It's got sucrase in it, which breaks down sucrose into fructose and glucose for energy. And it's got an anti-gluten enzyme blend in it, which is assists in breaking down gluten. It could also help if you do get gluten. You can try one of these too, but I have found that the glutenese works a little bit better for that. But okay, so me personally, as I've been doing this for several years, and I am not celiac, so keep that in mind. I am just gluten sensitive. And for a long time, I couldn't handle anything gluten. I've been gluten-free for 13 years. My body is starting to be able to handle it a little bit. I have to be careful with that because just because I'm not feeling the symptoms like I used to does not mean that there's still not wreaking havoc inside my body and I just don't know it, because sometimes it takes a while for those things to build up, and if you're eating too much of it, it'll build up, and before I know it, I'm going to start having all these issues again. So some common side effects of gluten sensitivity or gluten intolerance are the digestive, but also could be something as much as headaches or skin issues. You can get bumps, I call it like chicken skin, or eczema. My son reacts to it like that sometimes. One of the biggest things that it used to affect me, and I'm still figuring that out right now, but is mood-wise. So there's a huge gut-brain connection, and whatever goes in our gut is going to come out in your brain and your mood. So keep that in mind. If you're somebody that has a lot of mood issues, maybe you're tired a lot, maybe you're cranky a lot, maybe you cry real easy, I suggest that you really pay attention to what you're eating, because whatever we're putting in our body is going to come out one way or another. And oftentimes it can come out in our moods. And if it doesn't come out, so say it's not coming out in a certain way, it can come out by making us kind of build up in that brain, and then it gets like we explode and moody and all of this stuff. So like sweat glands, what we eat comes out in our sweat glands. Some people sweat more than others. Actually, you're not even supposed to sweat that much. And if you're eating really good food, your diet and your exercise are good, you probably won't sweat. So just pay attention to what you're doing. The other thing I also do is I eat biblically clean. So I follow a diet according to Leviticus, and I do not eat unclean fish. I don't eat shellfish, pork, and other unclean animals according to the Bible, because I do not believe that they're food. And if you pay attention, I'm going to get real here for a second. A lot of those things can cause worms in the body and can cause parasites. And a lot of times what we're dealing with when we have a bad digestive system and stuff like that is because we're fighting parasites. And if you find that you're somebody that's dealing with a lot of these issues I'm bringing up and you want to talk to me privately, put it in the comments and we can have a conversation. We can talk one-on-one about what you may be dealing with and ways that I might be able to suggest to help you. So anyway, just be aware of how different foods can actually affect our bodies. And know that if you are dealing with a certain ailment, most likely starting with your food and changing your diet can help drastically. The worm thing and the pork stuff is actually something else that I learned when I went to school for herbalism and aromatherapy, and we touched on a nutrition class. And it's something that my teacher, she's a vegetarian, maybe vegan, but anyway, she doesn't eat any of that. She teaches the same thing. And there are a lot of other nutritionists that will teach that too. So there's a lot of different reasons. For me, a lot of it is biblical, but there are other people that keep it as well, because they have seen what can happen from ingesting those kind of things. So anyway, that's why it is a really good idea to take an enzyme before you eat. Especially this day and age in our food, there's so much processed junk out there. And even when you are trying to eat good and you're not eating a lot of the boxed and the processed foods, you just don't know what's in our food anymore. So taking a whole food enzyme to help digest that is extremely valuable to us. So Terrazyme is an enzyme blend that helps the body break down food. This can be taken at every meal. You take 1 to 3 capsules depending on how healthy the meal is. 1 if it's pretty healthy food. 3 if it's very fatty, greasy food. So say you're eating out at fast food restaurant, you might want to take 3 before you eat. So these are the enzymes that I take, and you will be able to find them in the description. If you've tried them, put them in the comments and let me know what you think or how they've worked for you. So another thing that I've used if I've gotten gluten and I have that severe gassy feeling and those pains are just holding on really tight, well, I'm waiting for gluten to kick in. I will take Arbor Vitae essential oil and put a drop of that in my belly button, and it helps take those gas pains away. And that can work for any sort of gas discomfort you may be feeling. If you want to know more about Arbor Vitae and more about how I do that, there is a video that will be at the end of this, and you can find out more about Arbor Vitae. One other thing I do also is I keep activated charcoal around, and I will take activated charcoal if I have severe stomach, and if I get to the point where I feel like I'm going to vomit, then I do activated charcoal I like to do it with grape juice, because there's also something in grape juice that settles the stomach. So I take those together and it settles the stomach. Now that is going to be a whole other video as well. So look for that coming in the near future, because that we can get into that a lot here. So anyway, These are some of the things that I do if I get glutened. I'd love to hear what you do if you get glutened. Put it in the comments. So another thing that I've used if I've gotten glutened and I have that severe gassy feeling and those pains are just holding on really tight, well, I'm waiting for gluten ease to kick in. I will take arbor vitae essential oil and put a drop of that in my belly button, and it helps take those gas pains away. And that can work for any sort of gas discomfort you may be feeling. If you want to know more about arbor vitae and more about how I do that, there is a video that will be at the end of this, and you can find out more about arbor vitae. One other thing I do also is I keep activated charcoal around, and I will take activated charcoal if I have severe stomach, and if I get to the point where I feel like I'm going to vomit, then I do activated charcoal. I like to do it with grape juice because there's also something in grape juice that settles the stomach. So I take those together. Now that is going to be a whole other video as well. So look for that coming in the near future because that we can get into that a lot here. So anyway, these are some of the things that I do if I get glutened. I'd love to hear what you do if you get glutened. Put it in the comments. Don't forget to subscribe and like, and I will talk to you all next time. Have a blessed day.